Velkommen alle sammen, welcome back to the channel where we use the actual historical sources to speak about Norse pagan magic, and today I'm covering something very important about rune magic, and it's what the sources say about cancelling rune magic if it gives unwanted effects. So there's one saga that specifically deals with this. So before you try any of these rune magic practices, we need to know how to cancel it just in case you get any side effects. That's just if you believe in this kind of thing. If you don't, you can just turn the video off now, and that's okay. I'm not here to tell you what I believe in, and I'm not telling you what you should believe in. I'm just here to teach what the pre-Christian Norse believed in, and have the sources to back it up, unlike most other people here talking about Norse magic on YouTube. So we have a small handful of rune magic sources from ancient times, and it actually instructs us how to practice it. I've released a couple of videos on this in the past few weeks, but it's very few. It's less than 5 or 10. So most other rune magic you're going to see out there is reconstructed, meaning we just don't know. So it's a lot of modern people who have recreated those things and just making things up pretty much, but they are doing an amazing creative job. Yeah, I'm definitely not an expert. I'll maybe put some links to the books of some experts down below. Just be aware that these experts on rune magic don't really know anything more than us about the ancient rune sources. It's just that they have spent time experimenting and coming up with their own ideas and their own runes to carve. So if you are going to try some of these or even attempt to recreate some of your own rune magic, it's very important that you know how to cancel it out just in case you get any negative effects, because we do have a few sources from ancient times and that shows the consequences of rune magic. And it seems that even if you just carve the runes slightly wrong, even just one little thing off, the mistake can bring very severe negative effects, mostly to do with the health. So the source I'm going to speak about specifically is from Egil's Saga, one of the most detailed sagas and coolest stories out of all of the sagas. And in this story, Egil was traveling through the forest on one of his adventures, and he comes across a family who took him and his men in and fed him. Now they had a very sick daughter who Egil helped out, but later, a couple chapters on, we found out that this daughter was sick because there was another boy in the village who was in love with her. The family didn't like him very much, but this boy carved love runes to make this girl fall in love with him, but he actually messed up and he carved the runes wrong, and it ended up with him making the girl very sick. So what I'm going to talk about now is how Egil cancelled out this rune magic to help the girl get rid of these bad effects. And I'm going to tell you exactly how it's written. It might bore you, but we really have to be specific about this because this is the only source we have about how to cancel out rune magic. I haven't seen any more. Maybe there were other ways to do it, other ways to cancel it back then, but this is the only record we have, so this is the one we have to use. So the story goes, Egil gets invited into the house, the family feeds him, and he notices that the girl is very sick, and her name was Helga, and she was a beautiful young woman. Egil asked what was wrong with her, and the father said that she has been weak for a very long time, and she can't sleep at night because of delirium. So Egil said, well, have you tried to figure out the cause? And then the father said that she used to be bad before, but then we had a neighbor farmer boy come to heal her by carving some more runes, and she has gotten worse since then. So this dumbass neighbor kid carved runes first to make Helga fall in love with him, and then he messed up and made her sick. And then he came back again to try and heal her with some more shitty carved runes, and he made her even sicker. So the mother then asked if Egil could help, and Egil said, alright, doesn't hurt to try. So he finished up his food. Then he goes over to the bed that the girl was laying in. He told the family to lift her up and change the sheets and put some clean ones in. So while they were doing this, Egil found a whalebone in the bed carved with some runes. So he took the bone out. He shaved off the runes with a knife. He shaved off the runes that were carved, just like I'm showing you here, and he scraped the shavings into a fire. Then he put the whalebone into the fire and he burned it. After that, they dried out the bedclothes and she started to feel better, and then Egil said this little poem here. Egil likes poems, if any of you have read that story. So what he did was he carved some new runes and he put them under her pillow after all that, and she started to feel better. And she was totally back to normal in a few days when Egil returned to the family. So a couple things we learned from all that. The first one is we don't know whether Egil exactly knew how to do this for sure, or if he was just experimenting. It did seem like, you know, he kind of said, all right, it doesn't hurt to try, I'll give it a try, see if I can help. So we didn't quite know, maybe, or maybe he did, but either way, when he shaved off the runes, the effect worked, whether it was intended or not. So number 2, there was a little poem that Egil recited after this, like I showed you before. It's possible that this could be a spell or a Galdr incantation that has some magical power, that had to be used in order to cancel out this rune magic. But you know, Egil loved poetry. He randomly blurted out with some poetry in almost every conversation he had, and this poem doesn't seem like your traditional Galdr, so it was probably not necessary to achieve the effect. So we can probably say just scraping off the runes and burning it seems like the effect was achieved. The third thing we learn is after all that, Egil carved some runes and put it under her pillow. So this was probably also not necessary, since Helga did feel better after the runes were shaved off and burned. Then she started to feel even better after that when Egil carved some new runes. So these runes were probably just used to help the healing process go along faster. So it really does seem once the runes were shaved off the whalebone and burned, the magic would have been cancelled out. So but it would, after that, doesn't get better right away. It would take some time for the person to get back to normal. Just if you carve any additional runes like Egil did for healing, then it would speed up the healing process. So that's about it, guys. You can try some rune magic, and if it ends up bad, just simply scraping them off and burning the shavings and the original item you carved the runes on. It should be the trick to reverse any unwanted effects. Just be careful with these things, because mistakes, as you have seen here, can be very harmful. Do what you want with it. I'm not saying I believe in it or not. I don't care if you believe in it. I don't care if anyone else believes in it. I'm a historian. My goal is to figure out what our Norse pagan ancestors believed in. So this is the only source that I'm aware of that actually tells us how to cancel rune magics, and this is what we have to go on. If any of you guys have read Sagas or anything else that tells us how to cancel things like this, please let us know in the comments. It is possible I missed something in the sources, but at least we have one solid, clear example here in Egil Saga. So that's about it for today. Vi ses nästa gång.